hearts can reach.
Hey guys, and welcome to another video. My name is Katie and today I am bringing you my top 15 books of 2015. This time I wanted to do it in an order from obviously 15 to 1, and it was quite hard to do. It was also quite hard to choose 15 books I actually loved and adored and to like narrow it down and then put them in the numbers, but I feel like I'm really happy with this result and I would just love to share this with you guys. I've also been enjoying everyone else's top 15 books of 2015, or top 10 or top 5, whichever you guys have been doing. It's one of my favourite videos to watch at the beginning of each year, and yeah, I love doing it myself, so just wanted to share with you my 15 books that I loved and adored. So coming in at number 15, I don't actually own a physical copy of it. I did, but then I didn't own all the other books and I had them all on my Kindle, so I just wanted to keep them all on my Kindle, so I'll place a picture of this book over here. But coming in at 15 is Oblivion by Anthony Horowitz. This is the final book that is in the Power of 5 series, and I loved and adored this book purely because it just came to a fantastic end. It wrapped up really well. It was action-packed, it was so enjoyable. I highly recommend this series, and not a lot of people have read this, but I think people should. It is basically about these 5 children and they have these special abilities, and the first book starts off with the main character Matt, and then the next book we meet another person, and then so on and so forth. So you eventually meet them all and then they all meet together, and they have these dreams where they meet as well, and they're basically meant to sort of stop the old ones, which is what these ancient creature things are called, and they're trying to obviously take over the world, and it's just so cool. So I really recommend for you guys to pick that series up, and it just deserved to be on this list just because I love the series and it's so good. Coming in at number 14 is Finding Audrey by Sophie Kinsella. This is a fairly recent read of mine. I actually read this in the month of December and it was such a good book. This is about a girl and she suffers with severe anxiety and social anxiety, and this is just a really great story about her sort of coming to herself, just becoming better, dealing with it, and you can really see her struggles and just how she meets this boy who tries to help her, and you can really see that, you know, it doesn't exactly disappear like that. I think that Sophie Kinsella did a really good job of showing anxiety and how it is. I love Sophie Kinsella. She is a well-known chick lit writer. I love I've Got Your Number by her. It's one of my favourite books, and I was very excited to read this book when I heard that she was writing a YA book. I was like, wow, I need to read it, and I'm so glad that I did. I love and adore this book. I really recommend it to anybody. Coming in at number 13, I have On the Fence by Casey West. Casey West is one of my auto-buy authors, so of course one of her books had to be on this list. I really loved and adored this book. I thought it was really good. This is about a girl called Charlie, and she ends up getting a speeding ticket, and her dad is like, you know what, I can't keep doing this, you have to pay off your speeding ticket yourself. So she ends up working at this boutique, I believe it is, and it's just a great way of her becoming more of a girl, I'd say, because she's quite a tomboy in this book, so she just becomes more of a girl and sort of dresses like a girl more, and she has this friend that she talks to over the fence, which is next door to her, and they just have this really awesome relationship, and they've known each other throughout their lives, but obviously he's known her as this like tomboy, so when she obviously changes into more of a feminine person, he just discovers the differences, and yeah, it's just a great way of seeing how she becomes a better person with working at this place and sort of becoming just a really great person. You can really see that throughout the pages, and Casey just does a fantastic job. She makes it really enjoyable. Her books aren't very long, but they're sort of like young, cute, really good short stories that at the end of each of them I always feel sort of like, oh, that was like a really nice story, sort of like, I don't know, just really enjoyable, and yeah, I just want another book, so it's just made me really happy this year. At number 12, I have The Air by Kira Cass. I know this has received a lot of mixed reviews. For some people, they didn't like it, but that's the same for a lot of people. Like, even with the selection series, but a lot of people find them annoying, and they're just sort of like, what is this book? But they are somehow really enjoyable at the same time. I feel like I'm one of the only people that absolutely adored this series, and I loved all of the selection books and this spin-off which begins with the air. I loved it as well. It's just, I don't know, there's just something that's very, very entertaining about this series, and the way this book ends, I was just like, oh my god, like I need more. So I'm super excited for the sequel that comes after this one. But my god, I just find it really, really enjoyable, like really, I don't know, just fun, entertaining reads is probably how I could sum up this series. At 11 I have P.S. I Still Love You by Jenny Han. This is the sequel to All the Boys I've Loved Before, which I loved and adored. It was so fun, and I was really excited to get around to the sequel, and I did really enjoy this as well. Both of the books are just really, really fun and great and enjoyable, and it's just honestly worth being on this list. And it's just, I don't know, it wrapped up well, and I like this one. Probably not as much as the first one, but I still really, really enjoyed this one. At number 10 I have Love Rosie by Cecilia Ahern. This is also previously published as Where Rainbows End. This was created into a movie, and I wanted to watch the movie, however I did want to read the book first. The book and the movie are both completely different from each other, and I love both, to be honest. I love the movie and I love this book. This book sort of is different because some things are different, like some things that happen are different, but it's the same with book to movie adaptations. And also the age stretch to the end of the book, they are older in this book, whereas the movie cuts off when they're sort of in their adults still. So that's the sort of main big difference between that. But I found it really, really cute, and this was actually my first book by Cecilia Ahern, and I found it really, really enjoyable, really easy to read. Considering the size of this book, it did not take me long to finish. I couldn't put it down at all, and I'm finding that my love for chiclets is just forever growing. So I need to read more chiclets. So if there's any chiclets that you guys can recommend for me to read, then please let me know down below, and I would love to hear your thoughts and your recommendations, and then I can think about purchasing them, or if I have them then read them. Oh my god, just yeah, but this book was so good. At number 9 I have After by Anna Todd. This is the first book that is in this series, and this was a Wattpad sensation book by Imaginator1D, which obviously is Anna Todd's username on Wattpad, and it becomes such a success that she managed to get these books published, and I believe they're a lot longer on Wattpad. However, I just think the length of this book was like good enough. Now, there's something about this book that had me really, really addicted, and when I read it I found myself just sort of being thrown into it. Like, my emotions were going all over the place, just sort of like I was just lusting after it, and then I was angry, and I don't know, all my emotions were thrown into this book. And then by the end of it I was just like, oh my god, what an entertaining read, and I need to purchase the next book and continue on with the series. My good friend Eleanor from Eleanor Reads Books, if you know on BookTube, she read the series. I introduced the first book to her and she started reading it, and she loves it just as much, and she ended up like flying through all the books. So that just goes to show that I need to continue on with the series and dive into it. But my god, I loved this book so much. It was so good. At number 8 I have White Hot Kiss by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is the first book that is in the Dark Element series, and I got the second book, Stone Cold Touch. Need to read it, I got that a couple of Christmases ago for my Secret Santa, and I only just read this one this year, and my god, I need to continue on with this book. And I believe this is about a girl called Layla. She has a best friend called Zane, and then she meets this guy, and it's all about like gargoyles and wrath. Yes, wrath, my goodness. But yeah, there's like demons in this book, and it's so cool. And just the relationship between Layla and Roth, oh my god, it's so hot, like so hot. Like I just loved it. I love Jennifer Armentrout's books. She's another auto-buy author for me. Anything that she writes I literally buy and then read. I'm planning on this year catching up with all of the books that I've yet to read by her, and yes, it's just such a good book. I really recommend you beginning with this book and diving into it. It's so good. At number 7 I have One by Sarah Crossan. This is a contemporary about conjoined twins and it is told in verse, which I thought was really interesting. Flew through this book, as you can see. It did not take me long to finish, but it was so emotional, and when it says like their bond is unbreakable, you could really honestly see that. It was such a good book. Just by the end of it I was just like, oh my god, just sort of satisfied with it. So glad that I read it. Really recommend this book to anybody to read, but it was I don't know, inspirational, and it's sort of interesting to have a book about conjoined twins, and I feel like we need more books about conjoined twins because it is a thing that happens in this world. At number 6 I have Nil by Lynn Matson. I really need to read the sequel, Nil Unlocked, because this book was just phenomenal. This is about an island that does not exist, and basically these kids are sent there randomly, and they have basically got 1 year to escape. They have to find a way of escaping. So we have the main character, she arrives there and she meets all these other people, and there's basically these gates that they have to kind of like chase, and they're sort of surviving there, and it's just a really interesting sort of way to have it. I don't know, it's just like a game in a way, and it was just so action packed, so interesting. I love the cover of this book as well, not just purely because it's blue, which is my favourite colour, but just, I don't know, I just love the cover to it because it sort of shows what this book is about by having like all the days crossing it off, because that's the only way that they can tell how many days they got left, and it's just sort of really intense because you have some characters that literally have 1 day left, and then by the end of it you're just like, what? Just the way this book ended was just, it was so good, and I need to read the next book just to find out what happens next, and I'm so intrigued. I'm so intrigued. Like if you just love the intense adventure reads, this is the book for you. There's also a little bit of romance in this book as well, which I loved, and it's just I loved and adored it. You need to read it. You need to read it. At number 5 I have Vendetta by Catherine Doyle, which is the first book that is in the Blood for Blood saga. The second book, Inferno I believe it's called, has literally just come out January, and I got it for review and I was like, oh my god, thank you so much Chicken House, because I'm going to like devour that book, because this book was such a good book. Look at the spine of this, guys. Look at the spine. Blood for Blood. Freaking awesome. But this is a YA twist on Romeo and Juliet, and my god, if you just love Romeo and Juliet, and you just love like the intense romance of it, and just the hot brothers, and oh my god, it was so good. So good. I need to read the next book. I really need to. At number 4 I have Every Last Word by Tamara Island Stone. Another recent release of mine, and this book, I did warn you, was going to be on my top 15 of 2015. I spoiled you on that, oopsie, but I didn't tell you where I was going to put it. But this is about a gal who suffers with OCD, and you could really honestly see that happen throughout this book. You can see the struggles of it, and she meets other people, and they basically have this little secret organisation place in the school where they meet a couple of times a week, and they write poems, and they are like literally like poems about their lives and what happens in them, and it's really intense. She ends up meeting Caroline, she ends up meeting a few other characters, and then this guy, and she ends up falling in love, and she ends up finding herself, and she ends up dealing with everything, and it's so real, it's so raw, it's so inspirational, and it really got me here, and it was such a good book. It was recommended by you guys for me to read, and I thank you honestly so much for recommending this book to me. If you could recommend any other books, feel free to, because it seems to be that what you guys recommend I love and adore. But this book was so good, so good. I loved it and adored it. I really recommend it for anybody to read. It's just so realistic, and it was awesome. At number 3 I have Never Never Parts 1 and 2 by Colleen Hoover and the other author. And I'll place the picture over here of both parts 1 and 2. I would love to purchase the physical copy of these, but I do have them on my Kindle because they were released on the Kindle at first, and I pre-ordered them, downloaded them, and read them, and just, it's so mysterious. It's so mysterious. I have no idea what the hell is going on, but it's so good. It's so confusing. And then when part 1 ended, I was just like, oh my god, how could you do that to me, Conan Hoover? How could you do that to me? And then part 2, and then it ended, and I was just like, what are you doing to me, Conan Hoover? Of course, the Conan Hoover had to be on my top 15 of 2015 as well, because she is another auto-buy author for me, and again, another author that I would love to read all of her books by this year, hopefully. It would be great, but these are just like really awesome. They're just about 2 characters, and they just somehow wake up not knowing anything, and it's just crazy, and it's wacky, and it's good. I love it. At number 2, I have Everything by Nickelodeon. I'll place the picture over here. I would like to purchase the book. I read this as an ebook because I got approved of it via NetGalley. Thank you so much to the publisher for doing that, because it was an awesome book. It was quite a short book. It didn't take me long to read, and I was addicted. This is about a girl that's literally allergic to everything. She can't go in the outside world at all, which is really interesting. And then one day this guy moves in next door, and she's really intrigued, and they end up meeting, and it's really good. It's such a good book, and I honestly recommend for anybody to read this. It's so good. All of the hype about it is it's so good. So I bet you guys are wondering, what has Katie put as her number 1 book of her top 15 of 2015? Because when I read this book, I was literally like, no book can really honestly beat this book, because already this is my favourite. And I read it very early in the year as well, and I was just like, this is one of my favourite books. And I know that I'm going to definitely read it again and again, just like with the Fault in Our Stars. Just enjoy it every year. And I read it first as an ebook, and then I ended up purchasing it as a physical copy, and I'm so glad that I have it. It's such a beautiful cover, and this book is All the Right Places by Jennifer Niven. This book is so good. It is a contemporary. It's a contemporary romance, but it also has realistic sort of incidents in it. As in, one of our main characters is suffering with suicidal thoughts, and this is how these 2 characters meet on a bell tower. The male character is thinking about offing himself, and then this girl saves him. So this is purely about their relationship together, and all these sticky notes, which is what is on the front of this cover, of just thoughts and positive things and quotes and everything. But yeah, it's purely honestly about their bond, and you could really see that throughout the book. I was emotionally drawn into this book. I loved and adored every moment of it. I got involved with the characters, I fell in love with them completely, and I cried at this book. I absolutely bawled my eyes out, and it is very rare for that to happen in a book for me. So for that to happen, it really must have pulled at my heartstrings, and it definitely deserves being number 1 on my spot, just because of how much I fell in love with this book. Fell in love with it so much that I had to go out and buy a physical copy straight away, and it was amazing. And anything that Jennifer Niven will write after this, I really hope that she is writing something else, and yeah, I would just automatically buy it just because of how much I loved and adored this book. But this has earned its place on my bookshelf, sat right next to The Fault in Our Stars, and I'm definitely planning on rereading this at some point in my life, whether it be this year or next year. But it deserves a spot. It's such a good book. Recommend it to everybody. I did do a non-spoiler review of this, and any of the other books as well that have made my top 15 list that I've done a review of. I will leave the link to the reviews in my description box if you want to know more of my full-on thoughts. But this book was just flawless. It was amazing, and I recommend it to anybody. If you haven't read it, or if you've purchased it and if you're on the fence about it, please honestly pick it up, give it a read. I recommend for you guys to do it, and just do it. You have to do it. So guys, these are all of the books that are the physical ones that I mentioned in my top 50 of 2015, and plus the ebooks that I showed the pictures of. If you have read any of these, or if you would like to, please let me know down in the comments below, and also let me know what made your top 15, top 10 or top 5 of 2015, and what you're planning on reading in 2016. I have also done a 16 books I would like to read in 2016 video, so I will link that in the description box below if you would like to watch that video, and it would be great to see how well I can do with that list as a challenge for the year. And I'm really looking forward to 2016 to seeing what books are going to make my top 16 of 2016. I'm really excited. There are so many new releases that are coming out, so many books I do want to read, so many books, so little time, but I am determined to plan my way through a lot of books. My challenge for my Goodreads this year, I'm still going to keep it the same as 75 books. It's an achievable amount for me to read with work and social things going on in my life, and I feel very satisfied with 75 books. 100 is a bit too far for me to reach and achieve each month, and I don't want to end up stressing myself out too much. If I somehow do manage to do really well with my reading this year and end up already getting to 75 books with the year being 3/4 of the way through, then I may up my goal, but for now 75 I think is a very satisfied amount. I managed to reach it in 2015 and I feel like I can achieve it again in 2016, so fingers crossed for that. But also let me know what your Goodreads goals are for this year as well. But that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Keep smiling, keep reading and be happy, and I'll see all of you wonderful people in my next video. Bye!